Hello ladies and gentlemen, friends, we have a nice piece of maple. This is going on the lathe today and put a foot in here. And I always like my small feet. This one I'm gonna have to, it'll be interesting to see how much I have to take off of here. I had wondered about cutting this down a little bit, but I want to put my foot down into here so I can put that all the way onto the jaws and hold that. Then I can turn this outside part and get this going. So I think I have a decent foot on there now. Pretty big. Pretty big for where I want it, but as you can see from here, you can kind of see how far off the center that's a lot better of a hold. And let's see if we can, there we go. That's a much better foot. Now I have this basic shape, and now I can just finish this off and start working on the top part of my bowl. And then kind of see where we're at if we want to fill it up with some resin, which I think would be pretty cool. It's a nice big gap right in here. So I'm going to work on getting maybe a little bit more of my shape. Work on this. Of course, the more I take away, the more I'm going to have to fill this with resin. So maybe I should stop taping right now, fill this with resin, and come back after it's all dried up. Well, total experiment. So that's good. Maybe I will just pick at the scab a little bit more. Clean up this side just a little bit so I have a bit more of my shape, but I don't know. I haven't used the resin before, but a very wise man once told me your first thought is usually the one you should go with. So if I'm thinking that I should stop turning and fill this with resin, I think Al Backy would say, yes, Michael, that's what you should do. So I will listen to the wise Norwegian maker of knives and go mix up some resin. Why not? Now that I found the right spot for it to sit, I think that'll work pretty well. And probably, yes, now's the time just to do that. But as you can see from the overhead cam, I've got a pretty good foot on here now, have a pretty good shape. Let's do some resin. Ladies and gentlemen, we're inside. Here's our piece of maple. And we've got a couple of colors that we were thinking of. Just some mica powder, I guess. Yeah, mica powder. All right, so this is the product that we have from Resin Art. And there you go. So I was looking to see if the bottle actually said, so we're supposed to mix this 1-to-1. I haven't used this product before. So it's room temperature. Here's our mixing glasses. I'm basically gonna just use one glass. I'm gonna put in probably 3 ounces, 4 ounces, and kind of go from there. Now, the one thing I thought of is mix up 2 ounces with one color, pour it in, and then mix up 2 ounces with the other color and pour it in, just to see what it looks like. So I'm gonna tape this. Problem is this is all gonna fill. Then I can still hold it here. I can clean this out. I'll have a better foot, blah, blah, blah. It'll be fantastic, you'll see. So I think that'll work. Gonna pour it down in there. Pour it in this way. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. So that was 2 ounces of this stuff. So I don't want to use this because this is probably going to harden ahead of the other stuff that I'm mixing, but I need at least maybe 3 or 4 ounces. So as much as I would love to, maybe I shouldn't do that because that's kind of done now. But I'll get another cup and mix up a few more ounces, and yeah, we'll report back with our findings.
Shop with the epoxy. It looks more like a bowling ball. There is a piece of wood under here. We sprung a leak with our tape when we were filling this up and overdid it, as you do. And yeah, we're going to do a little razzle dazzle on the lathe and turn off some of this epoxy. And then we're going to add some more epoxy because there's a couple of spots. I'll actually show you. As you can see from the overhead cam, yeah, we have this drained somewhere. I don't know. The bowl stayed like this, so who knows where that epoxy went. And then this stuff just drained out on the other side of the tape. Feel free to snicker and laugh because I never did this stuff before. And, you know, it just is what it is. So, going to turn this in to the hole, which you probably don't need to see, but I'm going to turn that in like that. And blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. Put it back in the chuck and yeah. So, just turn this on real quick. It's easy to hold on to. It's actually a pretty good size. And so, the reason I'm doing this is I want to clean this out so this can go back on the jaws. And yeah, you know, should be fine. As you can see from the overhead camera, still have a little bit of a gap there. Yep, that might be about as far. I think that's as far as I'll go. All right. Safety spectacles. And yeah, safety spectacles. Put my mask back on. And we will clean this backside up. And put this foot back where it needs to be. Right about there, like that. And I've been calling my new tool, this guy, the bowl breaker, because on some of the dryer wood that I've been turning on pieces you have not seen because they've blown apart. Yeah, you just kind of hit the edge wrong and kablamo in a bad way. I don't think there's probably a good kablamo. Well, this should be fun. Now, I have never turned epoxy before. Not quite cleaning that out. Bouncing off there pretty good. But it'll cut through that. It's just that this isn't. Make sure that's nice and tight. I'll try this again.
And that'll almost, that'll work to get my jaws in there. Well, that's exciting. Definitely. Gotta like that grain in there. So I'm going to just pull this back a little bit and clean this up. As you can see from the overhead cam, there's quite a mess over there. But that's okay, we can clean up a mess. You know. The free flow of epoxy and wood chips as you know, the chucks hold out or in, so sometimes there's a little more strength. Well, let's see how that looks. Ooh. Well, I think I'm going to switch over to the bowl breaker. Well, it's getting to be a bit nicer. So, I've got to trim this. You can see this is the high spot for where I am on my jaws. You can see I'm kind of starting to take this off. So, I'm going to keep working on this. A little bit of bubbles in there. So, there you go. All right. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? I still have a little bit to take off. So my plan is to get kind of the basic shape of what I want, and then look for the spots where I have to fill. So as you can see right here, I still have to get that bandsaw mark off. So I've got to take a little bit away from there yet. I really like how the epoxy got right into those grooves. Right in there, so that's nice.
I was pouring epoxy into here and it was just disappearing. So as we work our way into the bowl, we're actually going to find out where this epoxy went. And you can actually see here that it was filling up some of these little spaces, possibly coming out here. So I'm going to continue to work on this till I get rid of this, get my shape a little bit better, and then work on this. This here, I'm gonna have to do something. I want to maintain this shape, and I don't really want to take it down much more than what we see. Yeah, you can see good over there how that comes down. Really like how this filled in here. That's going to look pretty cool. So as you can see, there's flecks of gold. So this was blue mica that I used. And then I laid in over top of the first pour. I just laid down and spread around some gold colored mica. You can actually see right there, it's starting to come through. I just have to clean this up a little bit more. And once I have my shape all kind of finalized, this bark here is kind of bothering me because it's going to be a little bit of a void. Perhaps I can fill it. And then same thing here on the front, just in this little divot. Once I have my shape kind of fine-tuned, there's still a few places that I want to just touch up. And then I want to clean this up so that I can reverse my bowl and then fix my bottom away from the jaws there. So I think that's going to be a really cool design in the grain of the wood, but also with the blue. Once we polish it up and everything like that, I think that's going to look pretty cool. So glad you could join us, by the way. This has kind of been a longer project. Of course, when you pour this, you know, you got to wait 18 to 24 hours before you can do anything with it. My last pour was aggressive and optimistic.
So remember I was talking about speed and feed. So I'll turn up the speed a little bit. So that's the speed, and then the tool will say is the feed. And as you can see from the overhead camera, when my speed and my feed is not matching, I get the ridges. If my feed is off, then I'll get those ridges.
Hello friends, we are back with the piece, the resin piece, kind of calling it the gemstone. As you can see, I've had a few different pours. This one was a little messy. Kept hitting it with the heat gun to try and get the bubbles out of there. Doesn't look that great right now. We're going to cut a foot in here, and right in there, going to be our foot. Going to put this on right now. Going to bring my tailstock in. We'll see how this spins. That'll be there. That goes right in there. I didn't check to see how this was spinning. The jaws should be tight. Yes. Move that in a little closer. That's in a little bit. I think that should be good. There's kind of a step process. I have to see how this fits, and then I can tighten this bolt up here. And yeah, so it's a Saturday morning. that we're shooting this. This has taken us a little bit of time just because of the number of pours we've had to do. I thought that was wrong. Always need to check, make sure nothing hits the tool rest. And then I want to have my tool rest in far enough so that I can bring my tailstock in. And there we go. That's going to hold that in. Ooh. Forget to do that sometimes. There we go.
I've got to go a little bit deeper yet. But the reason that I want to have a new foot on the front is just so that I can fix my bottom a little bit. But I wanted to cut this first, then I can clean my bowl side off.
I think that should be pretty good. Pretty good right in there. Your tailstock is just such a valuable piece of equipment. Whether you're turning something long or a bowl or anything really, just gives you that extra stabilization for, like, you know, if you've got a small delicate foot on the back, that tailstock is just going to give you that extra security that you need. I would be remiss to tell you, if you like the show, you can buy me a coffee. We'll have the link in the description, and it's a great site that helps the channel develop and gives you an opportunity to buy us a coffee. Cheers to that. All right, sip of this homemade home brew, and we'll get to cleaning this side off. I had thought of taking this, cleaning this up, and then putting some epoxy on this foot, filling that up, and that's why I wanted this one. So then I can actually add to this foot with some resin and clean it up. I like the shape the way that it is, but I didn't quite like how I turned that foot, and I thought it'd be cool if there was just a little ring of resin on the bottom.
You can see from the overhead camera, we're turning pretty good actually. We just got this little bit of resin right here. Man, you almost, see? Flipped off. So that's why I want to improve that foot with some resin. I'm going to have to bring my tailstock back in here and just have her situated a little bit better in there. So this is just breaking off, as you can see. There's the little culprit right there. So we'll just let that sit in there. We'll bring the tailstock back in. Just bring this back in. See how we're off there a little? You won't be able to see, but I can see. Back into that hole. Turn it out like that. There you go. That'll hold that there.
Here's our bowl. I'm just going to put that on. Just took one of these solo cups and cut that. It actually fits over really well. And this is going to hold it in place. I may have to actually, yeah, hopefully it's not going to come out on the bottom. I'm not going to fill this up all the way. It's just to hold just a little bit inside. Push that in nice and tight. I think that'll work pretty well. Just kind of going around, making sure that that's a pretty good seal. Now, the next is I'm going to mix this up. So we will BRBs. Now, I had wanted just a little bit more in there. I'm gonna do a second pour later after this is all set up and stuff. But what I want to do right now is break out the heat gun and get the bubbles out. So this is just pretty well. This looks not level because the cup's not cut level, but yeah, I kind of wanted to swish that around a bit. Get a nice layer in there all the way around. Here we have the bubbles kind of blown out. We're just going to let this set up and see if I need to do another layer on top of it. But other than that, I think that'll work fairly well.